Hello, my name's John Thorne from Thorney Motorsport, and this is our first proper program in the upgrades we are planning for the Tesla range of cars. I'm in our Model 3 Performance, which we've had now for 3,500 miles or so, and we thought we'd do our first video based on what we think is the most likely thing we will do more in the UK, is for improving the car's handling and dynamics. Now, we're not going to get too involved in the power and the batteries and the motors, etc. It's pretty controlled by Tesla. But the rest of the car is pretty much mechanical in what it does. Springs, dampers, roll bars, all kinds of things, wheels, spacers, all these things will affect how the car handles and is ride. Now, as a standard car, the Model 3 and the Performance version are all pretty good in terms of ride. That's not a bad handling car, they're not too bad. But they do lack a little bit of sporty aspect of life and a bit more focused handling. So we have started our little learning process off by fitting a variety of sets of lowering springs to the car. I'm on one of the sets now. We've tried 3 different suppliers, H&R, IBAC, and a company called Unplugged, who are an American company who have quite a good history of tuning Teslas. And bear in mind, Tesla's American, they've had them earlier, we have, so it's more information. So we bought a few sets in and we tried them back to back. And I can report that fitting a lowering spring kit to your Tesla Model 3 will improve the handling. There's no doubt about that. My experience in my tuning industry in car racing days is setting up race cars. I may not have been the quickest race car driver in the world, not by a long shot, but I'm pretty good at getting the dynamics of the car right, adjusting it to get it handled properly, both on track or on the road. And for me, all of the lowering spring kits do improve the handling of the car. However, they do also have a negative effect on the ride. A lot of them all say, yeah, it won't change the ride at all. Cobblers, all right? You cannot change the spring for a lower, stiffer version without changing the damper and expect the ride to be the same. It doesn't work that way. But the question is, how much a compromise? Now, we've tried 2 sets of springs from Unplugged, because they're the only manufacturer done different versions. And the stiffer, lower version, is what I'm running in now, has the greatest improvement in terms of handling, but also the greatest degradation in terms of ride. It is much choppier. For me personally, it's great. I'm very happy with it. But for my passengers, they're less keen. So probably the middle range is probably the better pick from their range. The IBACs and the H&Rs pretty much the same. They will make the ride choppier, more bouncy, because technically speaking the damping is now doing a work of a spring, or vice versa. And so it's not all perfect. If you're looking to improve the handling of your car, of a Model 3, without any degradation in ride, then one thing I can wholeheartedly approve of is a set of stiff anti-roll bars. Anti-roll bars work by connecting up both sides of the car. As they go through a corner, if you imagine no anti-roll bars, it will flop about. So a roll bar is designed to connect the 2 sides and have a piece of metal that controls that relative turn in terms of the roll of the car. A thicker anti-roll bar means there's less aspect change of the chassis. A thinner anti-roll bar gives better ride. But really, it's the springs and dampers make the biggest difference to ride. So whilst anti-roll bars do make some difference, in terms of a road car, springs and dampers are the biggest one. So if you keep those the same and just change your anti-roll bars, you will by definition get rid of some of that initial corner entry understeer and also that turn-in that feels a bit vague on the car at speed. The Tesla Model 3, all Teslas, have the batteries lower than the chassis, so once they're banked over in a corner, they're pretty good. But that initial turn-in is a bit wallowy. Thicker anti-roll bars do improve that, quite markedly so, and no difference to ride at all because the dampers and springs are the same. The ones we're trying at the moment are from Unplugged again, and they are adjustable. So we've gone different levels of adjustment to make them stiffer and stiffer. And for me, in terms of how I like to drive a car, I've got them on their stiffest settings, which means the ride now unchanged. But in terms of the handling, great fun. And we'll be going to Silverstone in a couple of weeks' time to try out track as well, which most people won't do on their Tesla, I agree, but that's part of testing. The other way of looking at it is just simply put your lowering springs on to get the better look. It looks a little lower, rides a little bit harsher, and does improve the handling, again, by changing some of that roll in terms of cornering. Ultimately, and we have tested it so far, is the anti-roll bars and a set of stiff springs. Then it is quite fun, and we're going to put those on specifically for Silverstone to test them when we're out there in a couple of weeks' time. So really, the first program is to say, look, if you want to improve the handling of your Model 3, or performance, no matter which model you've got, then a set of lowering springs will improve it. It will adjust it to get a bit more bite and a bit more of that confidence and turning and hide some of the weight of the car. But it will make the ride firmer. If you want to improve the handling and have no degradation of ride, anti-roll bars. A couple of manufacturers make them. We've used Unplugged. There's a couple of other places that make them as well. And we'll start to sell these in the UK at some point in time. And the ultimate will be a combination of both anti-roll bars and also lowering springs, which are slightly stiffer. So that's the first program. That's interesting. Next one's going to be about the car track at Silverstone, where we'll be testing more of the springs and of the different anti-roll bars and see how it performs in terms of the car. But for the moment, thanks for watching. I hope it's been useful. Talk to you soon. Cheers.